Evangelical people in Bulgaria, they're called the God prayers, like a cult. Why would you pray to God, right? It's really strange, but it's true. My name is Georgi Petrov. I've always felt like since I was a little child that something's wrong with the world around me. There's something more to this life than just live it and witness all these good and bad things that are around us. I always believe that everything around us is too beautiful to be random, and I kind of felt it on the inside. And I've always grew up searching for God, and I've been looking for Him everywhere. I've been to the mosque, I've been to the synagogues, I've been in churches, and I always wanted for me to discover that there is a God. All this has to work somehow. And when I was thinking about all the science and the doctors and stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, they have the answer of how things are happening, but the scientists cannot explain why they happen the way they happen. Nobody can explain that. So I kind of formulated for myself as a child that there must be a God. I just need to find Him and find how to reach Him. We are in the physical form, but then we have all these feelings inside us: sadness, happiness, jealousy, justice. And what happens to the body that, when the physical body doesn't exist anymore, these are things that exist, they're not physical. They must continue to exist because they're not physical. So this is where I created for me like a personal formula that there must be a soul, and that soul cannot be destroyed. So there must be a God. From a little child, I always had a lot of questions. And the problem was that I didn't get an answer for those questions. And I kept questioning and asking things. Going to the church in the Orthodox side is, I always found it, to be honest with you, very creepy. I just didn't find it godly. It didn't feel right. If it made you feel any way, it would be maybe create more guilt, and you would feel guilty. All the traditions that we do, I can't find it in the Bible. So the questions even became bigger. Later on as I grew, I'm like, where does it say that we have to do this on Easter? Where does it say that we have to do that on Christmas? That we have to eat this, that we have to eat that? Just walking inside never felt right. I always did it because I had to and I was told to do it. And when you're a young child growing up in this kind of environment, you do things because you have to, even though you don't really feel like you want to be a part of it. I never understood why we're doing the things that we're doing. It was never explained to us. And even if it was, I always wanted to try to make a connection to the Bible. And there was none of that. Even Jesus says, one thing that really is disturbing about the Orthodox Church is Jesus says, don't make money in my Father's house. And this is exactly what they do. Selling candles in the church, making money out of stuff like that. They should be free if you ask me, but anyways, you have to light a candle for the dead. Think about whoever passed that's dear to you, everybody. You can dedicate one candle to 10 people, or you can dedicate one candle to one person or whoever you want to, and you can also do it for the dead and do it for the living. And I find that kind of strange because I always ask myself, what is that going to do? It's a little bit creepy out too when you walk inside. It's dark. It's not really welcoming. It wasn't welcoming to me. I mean, maybe for other people. A lot of people grow up that way. That's the only thing they know. They haven't been exposed to anything else. They didn't dare ask questions. We come from a very strong and controlling culture. You're not allowed to ask questions. You just do what you're told. And that was the biggest problem with me, is that I don't like to do things I don't understand. And in the culture that we live in, it's a very tough culture. And Also, it's very difficult to talk to someone after so many generations, after generations, to all of a sudden you come up with something new. The evangelical people in Bulgaria, they're called the God prayers, like a cult. You know, why would you pray to God, right? It's really strange, but it's true. And they're seeing like cult people, like, you know, and to me that's not strange. That actually makes sense. Why wouldn't you talk to God? Why do you have to depend on somebody to connect you to God? And when I was in church and I'm looking at the priest and I'm like, what is so special about him? And why do I need him to reach God? If God is spiritual and he's the most powerful, you know, God in the world, like there's nothing else above, like why is it only certain people that can reach and communicate with him? If God made everything and he's everywhere, then I shouldn't only be going to one building and meet him there on Sunday, or just do physical things to get closer to him. It didn't make sense to me. What made sense to me was that if God is real and he's there, then it's up to me to connect to him, and it starts with the heart. Eventually, when my sister found the Lord, she told me about it, and she was very nervous, and I was very happy. She told me how she accepted the Lord, and my ears and my eyes open. I was so happy for her. I'm like, you know, I've been trying to get to that all my life. So she told me the story, and when I went to Ottawa, I accepted Jesus as my Lord. I can't remember now, over 15 years, yeah. She met a person at a bank that eventually they ended up going to the same church. So she told me, you know, that person, like the way she's talking, the way she's glowing, there's something about her. And long story short, she invited him over. She felt something really deep down inside her body just kind of changed right there and then, and I was very happy to hear that. I was really supporting her because she was very nervous. Of course, we come from a very tough spiritual background. What is our parents are gonna say, what our grandparents are gonna say, right? So, but I gave her full support, and she was really happy about that, and I was actually excited to do the same. And I welcomed that with open hands, and I just couldn't wait to go over there to hear the full story and experience the same thing. Accepting the fact that we are sinners, and the only way to get to heaven is through God, through Jesus, and admitting that we are sinners. That's the biggest thing, and that's the first step is realizing that. The first official time where I started getting exposed to the Bible was starting going to church, and I just really loved what I was hearing, because this is the first time where I was exposed to scripture directly. And then I walked away the same day knowing so many things, and I was overwhelmed. I was like, wow, not only that I like what we're doing here, but it all makes sense. And you're learning more, and there's something spiritual happening at the same time while everybody come together to read the word, and then it's explained. And whatever we don't understand, we're allowed to ask questions and go even further and deeper into it. So that makes sense. That made sense to me. It felt comfortable, it felt good. And when I started going to my sister's church in Ottawa, I was overwhelmed with joy because I couldn't believe it, and all the people that I met there. And it was unlike anything I've been ever exposed to, so it was really good. For the first time, it actually really made sense to me what I'm doing, because now I am praying and talking directly to God, and I'm not bowing down to icons, hoping for the best while feeling guilty, or kissing a priest's hand and waiting for him to bless me and connect me to God. This was me and God directly. It was my decisions in my heart that I'm willing to open up and receive as much as I possibly can in that moment. I was really excited about that, and that's when my journey really started, in terms of like having an open heart and receiving from God. I kind of started using humor, because I think it's a good way to break the ice and introduce things. Once I was told, oh yeah, you've converted. And I'm like, well, I kind of didn't have to, because I'm like, I never agreed with the Orthodox Church. Stuff like that. So some people are curious, some people are not. So for now, I can only show the people from the Orthodox Church what God has done for me. You just announce Him as your Lord, as your God. I say I'm a Christian, and Jesus is first, and He's my Lord, and that's it. And I'm proud of it. I wanted my kids to be exposed to the right things. We took a leap of faith to sign him up for the school that he's going to right now, and start him young, not like me, you know, trying to figure out things, fight old habits. It's a blessing and it's a miracle to see him that he's already quoting the Bible. That's actually what really happens. He's like me and maybe even more. I ask questions, so many questions. We end up not being able to answer certain questions. So we made a commitment to, if he has a question, maybe we'll start opening the Bible and start talking about it right there and then on dinner time. And if we cannot find the answer, we'll find it from church or somebody that knows more. You know, a lot of people who challenge God, like they're non-believers, they want to see lightnings and storms, and you know, the Holy Spirit and God talks to you in certain ways, and sometimes when you pray about something, it gives you that idea that this is what I started to experience. Things that I was wondering, He started giving me the answer, or all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, that makes sense. So these are the miracles that started happening with me, is that I'm a person with a lot of questions, and a lot of questions started being answered. And that to me was the first miracles that I got from God was that, is actually receiving answers and most of all reading the Word, actually realizing and dissecting the Bible and seeing how much God really loves you, and He tells you in the Bible how much God really loves you. And this was something like me, like a baby waiting to hear it.